How did a small health food store become the go-to grocery destination for celebrities, influencers, nepo babies, and anyone who cares about signaling their status and health to the world? I'm Sammi Cohen, and this is Social Currency, a podcast that unpacks the stories that are shaping business, culture, and the intersection of the two. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Social Currency. This is my first official solo podcast episode, and I am so excited that you're tuning in. Anyone that's been following me on social media knows that I love dissecting businesses. I share why the buzziest companies are making the decisions that they're making, how it impacts consumers, and really everything in between. And so many of you have asked for longer form content from my social media videos that I'm posting on Instagram and TikTok. And I've been working really hard behind the scenes to plan out this whole podcast. And it hasn't been easy. My first podcast studio burned down in the LA fires. My second podcast studio was at Spotify and it randomly shut down out of the blue. And I decided to bite the bullet and build out my own studio space. And this is where I am at now. So in my next solo episode, I want to give more of a background on what it means to even set up a podcast. And I also want to give more of a behind the scenes view on my life, such as why I'm even doing this podcast in the first place. For today, I want to start off with a deliciously juicy business topic, since that's very on brand for me. In most of these solo episodes, I'll be doing deep dives on topics at the intersection of business and culture. And I'll also be sprinkling in some current event roundups from time to time as well. So without further ado, I want to go into the wildly successful business of Erewhon. This morning, I went to the Venice location to get a smoothie to really buy into the mindset for this episode, and I am locked in. But specifically, today we're going to unpack the rise of Erewhon, its history, its unique business strategy, and the influence that it's had on wellness culture, and what the success of Erewhon actually reveals about modern consumer psychology. And let's start at the beginning. To start, Erewhon wasn't always the name of a luxury food store that was pumping out collaborations with Hailey Bieber and the Tinkses of the world. It actually started in 1966, and it was founded by a Japanese couple named Michio and Aveline Kushi. And they were actually leaders in the natural and macrobiotic food movement. The first Erewhon location, even though it's only in California now, it actually started in Boston. And they opened up their first LA location a few years later in 1969. And the name Erewhon itself is actually the word nowhere spelled almost backwards. And the name was inspired by a utopian novel that was published in 1872. And this novel signaled this almost otherworldly vision of living. And for decades, Erewhon was more of a spiritual co-op than a celebrity playground. It was all about intentional living and Eastern medicine, and of course, natural foods. But as wellness began to blend with aesthetics and consumerism in Los Angeles during the 2010s, Erewhon became ripe for reinvention. And that's exactly what happened. When new ownership took over in 2011, they transformed Erewhon from a crunchy natural food store into a luxury food experience. Tony and Josephine Antochi are the extremely wealthy couple from Brentwood that acquired the store. The Hollywood Reporter called them the Murdochs of macrobiotics, and I am obsessed with this title. The family previously owned a massive food distribution business that sold all sorts of groceries and supplies to restaurants around the Southern California region. Their business was selling around $90 million of food per year to these restaurants. And Josephine was on the sales side, and they ended up selling the entire company in 2009 to the wholesale behemoth Sysco, which does $60 billion in revenue per year. So for the couple, running an actual grocery store seemed like a logical next step for them. They were in their early 40s at the time of their exit, and they decided to buy the Erewhon store on Beverly Boulevard. The Boston one had shut down decades earlier. And in all of the articles that I've read about them, it says that they didn't exactly have aggressive plans for expansion, but I actually believe that they were very intentional and strategic about what they were doing. And I believe they wanted to blow this up into something much bigger, like what we're seeing today. And in current times, Josephine is the president of the company and Tony, her husband, is the CEO. So in terms of responsibilities, Tony manages the behind the scenes operation, and Josephine is also credited by the LA Times as being the mastermind behind what Erewhon actually is today. She's known to drop in very unannounced to the stores several times a week, and she's rearranging the displays and just checking in on all of the stores. She also oversees the Erewhon review process for the brands that want to get into Erewhon. So currently there's an online submission form that has extremely strict standards, as you can imagine if you've ever been to Erewhon. And it encourages vendors to use organic, non-GMO, and sustainable ingredients. They partnered with Belgian architect Humberto Nobrega, apologies for likely butchering his name, in order to create the right feel. The smoothie and juice bars are usually located towards the front of the store, and it's meant to feel open yet aspirational and high-end. And in terms of store format, the company aims for smaller stores of about 10,000 to 16,000 square feet. And for reference, the average Whole Foods is around 40,000 square feet. And all of the Erewhon stores are strategically placed in affluent neighborhoods all around LA. The business model is higher margin than traditional grocery stores because of quite a few reasons, but some of the largest ones are the more limited product selection and most obviously the price. Erewhon isn't trying to compete with the Trader Joe's or Costco's of the world, especially on price or scale. It's all about the vibe. It feels like an exclusive club where people flex over spending $80 on a jar of sea moss gel. And as of today, they have 10 stores within the LA area, with more to come. And that's on purpose. Scarcity drives desire. The less available it is, the more elite it becomes. And this will never be a grocery store that is everywhere simply because it can't be. However, the CEO did confirm that they were definitely scoping locations beyond Southern California, but that'll take some time. And in order to fund the store openings, in 2019, they received investment by New York private equity and venture capital firm Stripes. And Stripes has also invested in major companies that I am sure you've heard of, such as On Running, Vuori, and A24. Erewhon also invested $30 million of capital in a 100,000 square foot state-of-the-art processing facility in downtown LA. They call it the commissary, and it's where all of the soups, juices, and prepared foods are made each day. About 40% of the company's revenue comes from its private label items and prepared foods. Some of the most popular items at the Hot Bar, which I'm sure you've seen on social media if you've never actually been inside of an Erewhon, are the famous buffalo cauliflower, the salmon, and the incredible breakfast burritos. Its best-selling product is water, followed by coconut water, and this is in contrast to major supermarket chains where soda and milk are commonly the top items. Erewhon's genius isn't just its product line, it's the way that it's baked itself into the influencer economy as a whole. Seemingly every LA celebrity has been spotted leaving Erewhon. They have the drink in hand, logo front and center, and it's literally a marketing billboard for the store itself. And let's talk about the real innovation here, the smoothie bar. On paper, these are just smoothies that you're buying from a grocery store. But Erewhon shoppers aren't just buying a drink. If you shop there, you're buying a lifestyle, one that makes you feel healthy and elite. But in reality, it's also a form of social currency. And the most powerful of them all is the $20 Hailey Bieber smoothie. They sell between 45 to 50,000 of these smoothies per month across all of their stores. That is up to $1 million per month in Hailey Bieber smoothie revenue alone. And for these smoothies, the influencers get a $1 royalty per smoothie that they are encouraged to donate to charity. And of course, I need to talk about the store financials because this is wild. Each of the stores have an average weekly sales volume of $1,800 per square foot, bringing in about $1 million in sales per store each week. And Erewhon's margins are astronomical. You're paying just as much for a smoothie as you would for a cocktail at an actual bar. But what's brilliant from a business perspective is that Erewhon actually charges the ingredient companies themselves to be featured on the ingredient list. They see the ingredient list as a billboard to their customers. So the food companies actually pay a premium to even be featured. And apparently there's a confidentiality agreement with Erewhon where brands aren't allowed to publicly disclose what this fee actually is. And something I found super interesting when I was doing research on the business of Erewhon is that Erewhon has also become a strategic investor to some of its vendors. So most of the signature smoothies have this incredibly delicious coconut cream in it. And in 2023, Erewhon made a strategic investment into the company that provides all of the coconut cream for the smoothies. The company is called Zuma Valley, and Erewhon was actually Zuma Valley's first customer. According to Tony, the CEO, Zuma Valley's whipped coconut cream retail SKU is one of the top 10 best-selling SKUs across all product categories in the entire store. And of course, Erewhon has collaborated with dozens of influencers to co-create these limited edition smoothies. You've definitely seen them on your Instagram or TikTok feed where these influencers promote their limited edition smoothies and encourage their followers to get it while it's available. And I actually covered this topic in a video on Instagram last October where I said that I felt like we were getting to this point of smoothie collaboration saturation. I called out in the video that some of the smoothie partnerships seem to be like they are a little bit of a stretch. And the one that I specifically called out was the Salt and Stone smoothie. So if you're not familiar, Salt and Stone is a deodorant company, which actually makes great deodorant, but it felt like it just wasn't super on brand or even something that people would want to think about when they are drinking a smoothie. I know deodorant and smoothies aren't really in the same ballpark. And when I put out the video, Tony's brother, the CEO's brother, Vito, reached out to me since he's the executive vice president of Erewhon, and he clarified that the Salt and Stone smoothie was a brand partnership. So this is where the brand actually gives the smoothies away for free to members as part of their Erewhon membership plan. Regardless, my point still stands. I don't want to think about deodorant when I'm drinking a smoothie. Might just be a me thing. And Erewhon has taken the products that they sell and transformed them into a multifaceted marketing machine. The smoothie is the product, but so is the TikTok about the smoothie and the Instagram carousel of you holding the smoothie. And then we haven't even touched on the clothing piece. They sell items like a $170 zip-up sweatshirt and a $138 tote bag. It's all marketing, and all of these separate products are helping to power the Erewhon flywheel. And I'll take it a step further. I would go as far as to say that Erewhon sells the idea of being the kind of person who cares about healthy food. And there's a distinction there. It represents this era that we're in, where wellness is truly a luxury, where health is not just about survival or longevity, but about aesthetics and taste. It's also exclusionary. Erewhon isn't accessible to everyone. It's a playground for the wealthy, the beautiful, and the internet famous. It asks, do you have the privilege of being able to care about your health in this way? And even if you don't have the money or resources to actually live a life of leisure and wealth, at the very least, you can scrounge up a $20 bill to pay for a smoothie to make you feel rich. Right now, Erewhon's strategy is working because they're small. They're not trying to become Whole Foods. They're not going national. They're focused on high traffic, culturally relevant areas where high earners and interest in health food are colliding. And their growth will really depend on how well they manage this tension, staying elite without becoming inaccessible in a way that sparks some kind of backlash. And in June of 2021, Erewhon actually became a certified B Corporation. And this is a certification that a company can get when they want to be known as a force for good. Essentially, it recognizes that the company should both be striving for purpose along with profit. The takeaway that I want to leave you with is that the true reason behind Erewhon's runaway success is that it's actually selling identity. It's a mirror of modern culture where your grocery run can say more about you than your resume, where smoothies double as status, and where health is more about clout. And with that, that is a mini deep dive on the business of Erewhon. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I am so excited to chat with you again on Friday, so see you then. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Social Currency. I've been wanting to launch this show for so long. I can't tell you how excited I am to do this and how thrilled I am that you're actually here listening. It means the world to me. If you liked what you heard today, please rate and review the podcast because it massively helps to support the work I do to bring the show to life. And if you want to keep up with the hottest business lore in real time, follow me on Instagram at Sammi Cohen Talks and subscribe to my newsletter, Social Currency, which is linked in the show notes. Social Currency is a production of Social Currency Media and Money News Network. The podcast is hosted and executive produced by me, Sammi Cohen. Social Currency is produced by the Money News Network team. See you next time.